African History Network show right here on 910 a.m. Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Monday, February 21st, 2022, and we are live. So the call-in number is 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. Okay, so today is the 57th anniversary of the assassination of Malcolm X. And there have been a lot of articles written today. I was looking at some different articles and some video clips, things of that nature today. So we're going to discuss this a little bit in the first segment of the show. And there was a piece on Democracy Now! That I saw today. Yasa Shabazz, one of the daughters of Malcolm X, and Dr. Betty Shabazz was interviewed along with Benjamin Crump, attorney Benjamin Crump. And the family of Malcolm X wants a full investigation into exactly who killed Malcolm X. All right. And attorney Benjamin Crump is representing the family. So we're going to talk about that a little bit on today's show. And you know that we talked about this back in November of 2021 when the news came out that the two men who for decades had been accused of assassinating Malcolm, and they went to prison. Okay, when we got the news that they were going to be exonerated, and New York Times had a big article on this. This is dealing with Khalil Islam and Muhammad Aziz, two men. Let me pull this up right here. Two men convicted in the killing of Malcolm X will be exonerated after decades. So this was shocking news when we got it. And there was always doubt that these men were actually involved in killing Malcolm X. But when Cy Vance's office, district attorney there in Manhattan, when Cy Vance's office opened the case and did the investigation, they turned up evidence that exculpatory evidence was withheld in their trials. Okay, so we're going to talk about this a little bit on today's show. You know, there's a good article from New York Times on this, and then also some good articles from the Washington Post as well as Huffington Post also. All right, and then on Sunday's show, I did not get a chance to get to this story. You know, we talked about the story out of Indiana, Spronica Elementary School, and the counselor sent home a permission slip, and this regarding a Black History Month lesson, Black History Month lessons. And it gave the parents the option to opt out of the lesson. So we talked about this on Sunday's show, and also talked about it Friday when I was on Roland Martin Unfiltered. There was another story that we really didn't get a chance to get to on Sunday's show, because we were talking about Kim Potter getting only 2 years for killing Dante Wright. We talked about Brian Flores as well, getting a assistant coaching position with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But this article here from the New York Times we're going to talk about today, and there was a segment from the Read Out with Joanne Reed I was going to play on yesterday's show, but did not get a chance to get to either. Teachers tackle Black History Month under new restrictions. teachers tackle Black History Month under new restrictions. And this deals with the anti-critical race theory laws that have been passed so far in 14 states. And the type of stress that is causing and confusion is causing for many teachers. In states where laws now limit classroom discussions of race and discrimination, many teachers are watching what they say and are more anxious about their jobs. Many teachers are watching what they say and are more anxious about their job. Okay, so we're going to talk about this, and there was a good segment from the Readout with Joanne Reed that deals with these anti-critical race theory laws. Let's see, what's the name of this clip here? GOP continues to stoke rage, racialized cultural anxiety among whites for political gain. All right, it was a segment from February 16th, but I did not get a chance to get to that. Okay, so on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's correct wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. All right, be sure to register for the online classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. And from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. Also want to remind you, I'll be on a panel discussion on Wednesday, February 23rd, that's organized by Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, the Michigan State Organization Social Action Committee of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Wednesday, February 23rd, 2022, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the information on our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. This is a webinar. It's a virtual panel dealing with reparations. We have the link on our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, where you can register for it. It's free to attend. Wednesday, February 23rd, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right. I want to jump into this first story. We're coming up here on a break. Also, we'll talk about the home in Inkster, Michigan, where Malcolm X used to live with his brother Wilford back in the 1950s. That gets listed on the National Register of Historic Places also. Okay, we'll talk about that as well. Now, we're coming up here on a break. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation and Future Radio. Calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600. Here's the call-in number if you have a question or comment. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Mental health and well-being have long been a taboo subject in the so-called African-American community. So I enlisted the help of mental health experts, thought leaders, and activists to help kill the ghost of Willie Lynch and heal from post-traumatic slave syndrome.
We experience trauma a lot of times on a subconscious level. So sometimes something happens to us and we know that it's traumatizing, but we don't really recognize the extent of the trauma.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Monday, February 21st, 2022. 57th commemoration, 57th anniversary of the assassination of Malcolm X. The Audubon Ballroom, February 21st, 1965. We're going to clip number one, Shakita. Okay, so today on Democracy Now!, they interviewed Iyasa Shabazz and also Benjamin Crump. And they're calling for the family of Malcolm X. We know Iyasa is one of Malcolm and Dr. Betty Shabazz's daughters. The family of Malcolm X is calling for a congressional investigation into Malcolm's assassination to get to the bottom of who actually killed Malcolm X, what was behind his assassination, to get to it once and for all. We know that last year, we know that we got the November of 2021. We know we got the breaking news that the two men convicted of killing Malcolm X would be exonerated after decades. Okay, Khalil Islam and Muhammad Aziz. The 1966 convictions of the two men are expected to be thrown out. They were thrown out after a lengthy investigation validating long-held doubts about who killed the civil rights leader, Malcolm X. Two of the men found guilty of the assassination of Malcolm X are expected to have their convictions thrown out on Thursday. The Manhattan District Attorney and lawyers for the two men said, rewriting the official history of one of the most notorious murders of the civil rights era. For decades, historians have cast doubt on the case against the two men, Muhammad Aziz and Khalil Islam, who each spent more than 20 years in prison. Their exoneration represents a remarkable acknowledgement of grave errors made in a case of towering importance. The 1965 murder of one of America's most influential Black leaders. Okay, let's go to clip number one, Shakita, from Democracy Now! It's on YouTube.
This is Democracy Now! I'm Amy Goodman. It was 57 years ago today, February 21st, 1965, when Malcolm X was assassinated on the stage at the Audubon Ballroom in New York City, not far from where we are. Malcolm's family is now calling for a federal probe into his murder. In November, a New York judge exonerated two men who spent decades in prison after being wrongfully convicted in the assassination. 83-year-old Muhammad Aziz and Khalil Islam, who died in 2009. This came after the Manhattan District Attorney's Office and the Innocence Project conducted a nearly 2-year investigation that uncovered key evidence which was withheld at the trial of the two men. Speaking in November, then Manhattan District Attorney Cy Vance apologized in court to Aziz and the family of Islam. Vance also called out former FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover.
We have obtained dozens and dozens of reports from the FBI and the NYPD's Bureau of Special Services investigations. These records include FBI reports of witnesses who failed to identify Mr. Islam and the implicated other subjects and suspects. And significantly, we now have reports revealing that on orders from Director J. Edgar Hoover himself, the FBI ordered multiple witnesses not to tell police or prosecutors that they were, in fact, FBI informants. Many of those documents were exculpatory. None of them were disclosed to the defense.
That's former Manhattan DA Cy Vance. He was muffled because he was wearing a mask. Muhammad Aziz, who was jailed for almost 2 decades, was recently interviewed by ABC News.
People knew while you were there that you were one of the men convicted of killing Malcolm. Were there threats because of that?
To me? No.
Yes, sir.
No. The people know I didn't do it. Nobody ever thought I did it, just like people. Our people never thought I did it.
We're joined now by Ilyasa Shabazz, one of Malcolm X's 6 daughters, professor at John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York City, community organizer, motivational speaker, activist, and award-winning author of many books. Still with us, civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who is working with Malcolm X's family. Ilyasa, first I want to say condolences on the recent death of your sister. Your family has gone through so much pain over the years, and now you're calling for a federal probe into your dad's assassination. It's 57 years ago today. Talk about what you want to see.
Well, you used the great word, animus. We do want a federal probe. You know, my father exposed police brutality across America to the world in the late 50s and 60s. And, I think that enough is enough. We want to know who killed our father, who ordered the assassination, and we want to set the record straight.
And the significance of these two men, Muhammad Abdulaziz, who is still alive, and Khalil Islam, who died years ago, both serving decades in prison, falsely convicted of the assassination of your father.
That's right. Again, we want to know who killed our father, and we want to make sure that it is properly recorded in history.
So, Ben Crump, talk specifically about what you want Congress to do.
Well, as Eliasa said, we want Congress to help document the truth, just as they did with the JFK Commission, the MLK Commission, and the RFK Commission. We want them to have a congressional panel empowered to do an investigation, a complete investigation, into who is responsible for planning the conspiracy to assassinate Malcolm X. We understand that based on these recent exonerations that you had not only the NYPD Bureau of Special Investigations involved, but you also had, with the NYPD bossy, the FBI involved to the very top, to the FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover. Finally, the family deserves the truth of who killed their father. The names need to be named, and the American society and the world deserve the truth as well. And we are prepared, Attorney Ray Hamlin and our legal team, to go through every legal avenue possible to get to the truth for Malcolm X's family and to finally give them some measure of justice.
Before we end, I want to get your comments on Malcolm X.
Thank you. Okay, so that's from Democracy Now! From today. And if we look at, it's a couple of quick things we want to look at here. New York Times highlights from the push to exonerate two men in Malcolm X's killing. Okay, so this is, here's Cyrus R. Vance, who was the Manhattan district attorney, and he retired. A motion to vacate convictions finds that crucial evidence was with. Now, it's important to have this congressional hearing, as Benjamin Crump just said. They did it for the assassination of JFK. They did it for his brother Bobby Kennedy, and this is one of the things that Congress does is oversight. Okay, the Department of Justice, they have a role also, but Congress does oversight, and Congress does investigations. Now, I want to. He mentioned Jager, who we're going to come back to this here in just a second. I want to pull this one up also here. So when all this news broke in November 2021, we talked about this here on this show because we actually did a real substance here. Huffington Post had this article. HuffingtonPost.com had this article from, they picked up from the Associated Press, November 18th, 2021. Hoover hid that some witnesses in Malcolm X assassination trial were FBI informants. J. Edgar Hoover, director of the FBI, Hoover hid that some witnesses in Malcolm X assassination trial were FBI informants. A Manhattan judge exonerated two men convicted of killing the revolutionary leader after decades of doubt about who was responsible for his 1965 death. More than half a century after the assassination of Malcolm X, two of his convicted killers were exonerated Thursday after decades of doubt. I'm going to go to this here. Okay. So if we scroll down here, they talk about evidence withheld. The recent investigation found information in FBI files about witnesses who could not identify Khalil Islam and implicated other suspects. Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus R. Vance Jr. told the court, he was the district attorney at the time, he was the one who opened up this investigation into the case after the documentary came out, Who Killed Malcolm X, on Netflix. All right. Now, the files show that the late FBI director, J. Edgar Hoover, ordered agents to tell witnesses not to reveal that they were informants when talking with police and prosecutors. Manhattan District Attorney Cyrus R. Vance said, quote, I apologize for what were serious, unacceptable violations of law and the public trust. There is one ultimate conclusion. Mr. Aziz and Mr. Islam were wrongfully convicted of this crime, end quote. Okay, we're coming up here on a break. We'll continue this on the other side of the break, and then we'll talk about how Black History Month is challenging, is very challenging this month, this time around, because 14 states have passed anti-critical race theory laws, and teachers are tackling Black History Month under new restrictions. Teachers are tackling Black History Month under new restrictions. Listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. The Business Scaling Challenge is a 7-day online event that is taking place the week of March 13th through March 19th, 2022. This challenge will guide a group of business owners through scaling their businesses. Business owner Ronnie Sumler is hosting the Business Scaling Challenge in remembrance and honor of her father, the late civil rights activist Rodney Sumler. He helped a lot of African-American-owned businesses and local community leaders participate in politics. However, when he passed away, all of his ventures died with him. This inspired his daughter, Ronnie Sumler, to help community business owners preserve their businesses. Her business, Digital Dandelions, offers business Bibles to record business processes and procedures. Their business Bibles are their branded run-of-show business manuals that have everything you need to run your business in one place. Their business scaling kit is the first step in creating a business Bible. It includes everything needed to grow your business in one place. Join the Business Scaling Challenge Facebook group for more information, and good luck in scaling your business.
STEM Forward, helping our community find their place in the emerging fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Join us for our monthly live stream on our website, stemforwardedu.org. Watch, subscribe, share. Also join our mailing list to stay up to date with STEM resources and opportunities. STEM Forward, the future is now. Watch, subscribe, share.
Network show. We deal with current events in history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Unfortunately, many people confuse what racism is. Racism is a power structure. It was laws and policies that put us in this predicament. It's going to be laws and policies that take us out. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you control the compass of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know.
We have it all on 910 AM Superstation. 910, the Superstation, Detroit's only African-American talk radio.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. All right, be sure to visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register for the online history classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. On Saturdays, it's ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa. Kemet, one of the original names for Egypt. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We also deal with the African presence in the Americas dating back tens of thousands of years ago, even before Native Americans came into existence. So I do the class live Saturdays, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. The class is on sale $80, regularly $130. As soon as you register, you can watch the class we just did this past weekend. On Sundays, I teach from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement of Black Power, 1865 to 1968, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Also, next class is Sunday, February 27th. We have a bundle pack. You can register for both classes for only $120. The classes are $130 each. And once you register for the class, you can watch it as much as you want to. Even a year from now, you can go back and watch the entire course. Okay. So you have full access to it. All right. Now, let's see. Tuesday morning, I'm speaking for Tech Town, and they sent me the information. Now, we're going to get it up on our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. They said the flyer's in here somewhere. So I guess it is. But this is dealing with preparing Black-owned businesses for success, preparing Black-owned businesses for success. This is taking place Tuesday, February 22nd, 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. It's all virtual, so you can watch from anywhere. It's free to attend. Celebrate Black History Month. New conference, February 22nd, will prepare Black-owned businesses for success. Now, Maggie Anderson, who wrote the book Our Black Year, I think it was Our Black Year. Maggie Anderson, she's the keynote speaker. Preparing, so this is Tech Town Detroit, and our partners present a virtual business conference celebrating Black History Month, preparing Black-owned businesses for success. Tuesday, February 22nd, 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll get the information on our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Also at TechTownDetroit.org, TechTownDetroit.org. They should have the information there as well. Okay. All right. We're going to post a link here on the thread of our broadcast here, and we'll put it on the homepage of AfricanHistoryNetwork.com also. Okay. Let's go back to the story. We're going to clip 2 here in just a second, Shakita. All right. This other article that I wanted to get to is we did that one from New York Times. Highlights. This was the day that the 2 men were exonerated. Highlights from the push to exonerate 2 men in Malcolm X's killing. Okay, November 18th, 2021, New York Times. All right, so check that out also. Motion to vacate convictions finds that crucial evidence was withheld. And let's see here, these defendants. The motion includes a host of new witnesses. The motion includes a host of new findings. It mentions an interview with a new witness with the initials JM, conducted only days after the reinvestigation began. JM said he was answering the telephone at the Nation of Islam's Harlem Mosque the day of the assassination, and that his account backed up the alibi of Mr. Muhammad Aziz, who said he was not involved in the killing of Malcolm X. JM recalled receiving a phone call from Aziz at around 3 p.m. on February 21st, informing him that Muhammad Aziz had just heard Malcolm X had been shot, the motion says. JM then hung up and went to get the mosque's captain, and together the 2 men called Muhammad Aziz back at his home. Quote, JM reached Muhammad Aziz at home and told him the captain would speak to him. End quote, the motion says, a simple sentence that lends credence to Muhammad Aziz's story that he was at home at 3 p.m. when Malcolm X was shot. Okay, this was left out of the trials. This was information that was suppressed. A trove of documents from law enforcement. The motion details more than a dozen reports compiled by the FBI and the NYPD that were not disclosed to the defense of the men accused of assassinating Malcolm X, several of which point toward the men's innocence. The FBI reports contain the accounts of several witnesses who describe gunmen who do not resemble the 2 men, as well as details about agency informants who were present in the Washington Heights ballroom where Malcolm X was killed. Okay. All right. Okay, and also Detective Gene Roberts as well. The police department documents include descriptions of undercover detectives having been present in the ballroom, at least one of whom was there at the time of the murder. The report may have been referring to Detective Gene Roberts, an undercover officer who it later came out was working as a member of Malcolm X's security detail. He was African American also, Detective Gene Roberts. All right. So check out these articles here from Washington Post and New York Times and Huffington Post and Democracy Now! As well. Okay. All right. I want to go to this next story here. We just talked about this very briefly on yesterday's show. We're going to clip 2, Shakita, from the readout here in just a second. So African American History Month, Black History Month this year is causing anxiety for many teachers because of laws that have been passed in the state legislatures. 14 states have passed laws limiting how race and discrimination can be taught in schools. You have a total of 35 states that are proposing some type of restrictions on what can be taught also. All right, now in states where laws now limit classroom discussions about race and discrimination, many teachers are watching what they say and are more anxious about the jobs. Now, this is a piece from about their jobs. This is a article from February 12, 2022 from the New York Times. And it deals with different teachers in different states. They talk about New Hampshire, a Spanish teacher in New Hampshire took down a Black Lives Matter sign in her classroom. In Lubbock, Texas, a social studies teacher felt that candid political discussions with students were becoming, quote unquote, kind of like a tightrope. And in Oklahoma City, a history teacher began to think twice about using the word white to describe people who defended slavery. In February 2022, public school teachers traditionally shape lessons around Black History Month, but this year, educators in several states are handling their classes a bit more gingerly. Republican-led legislatures in several states have passed laws later 2021 to ban or limit schools from teaching that racism is infused in American institutions. And while students in those states are still learning about activists like Ida B. Wells and Claudette Colvin, and eras like Reconstruction, 1865 to 1877, and the Civil Rights Movement, some teachers are also exercising a quiet restraint. I want to go to this clip here from the readout with Joanne Reed from February 16th, 2022. And they talked about the GOP keeps stoking white rage. Okay, the GOP keeps stoking white rage, and they talked about critical race theory as well. Let's go to this clip, Shakita.
We begin the readout tonight with fighting fire with fire. The Republican Party, which is apparently consolidated around the idea of presenting no ideas, no policies, just resentment in order to drive out more of its base and try to retake power in Washington and around the country, importantly, without having to broaden that base in this midterm election year, is continuing its strategy of stoking rage and racialized cultural anxiety among white parents for political gain. Take Texas, which has already criminalized the teaching of the right's favorite current boogeyman, critical race theory, and the 1619 Project in public grade schools. But after professors at the University of Texas resolved to defend the rights of college professors to teach about America's racial history, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said that he wants to extend the purely theatrical ban on the thing that isn't even taught below law school to public universities, noting completely unironically that banning teaching things is what's behind his Liberty Institute at UT Austin. But the real fight over education are at the K through 12 level, where we've seen conservative, mainly conservative, white parents whipped up into a frenzy over mask mandates and lessons on race and gender and sexuality. And it's leading to terrifying real-world consequences. A Reuters investigation detailed death threats and other harassing messages to school board members, including a letter sent to the home of a Loudoun County, Virginia board member and addressed to one of her adult children. It threatened to kill them both unless she resigned. The school board wars are happening all over this country. And again, it's not the grassroots effort that Republicans would have you believe. Dateline, Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay, pause it right there. We're coming up on a
Today
break.
it's hard for me to believe that I have to
just back it up about 20 or 30 seconds. We'll pick it up there. Okay, listen to the African History Network show right here on the 10 a.m. Superstation Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Abundant Capital Group is a real estate investment company with over 20 years of experience in real estate. They specialize in two areas of real estate. One, they solve real estate problems with creative financing solutions that give the seller the most money for their property. And two, they show individuals how to get a higher rate of return on their investment capital with real estate note investing. If you are looking to sell or need to sell your property, here is what they provide. Market value offer, even if you have little or no equity. They typically pay all closing costs, which can be thousands of dollars. They close on a date of the seller's choosing, and the seller does not have to be out of the house at the time of closing. They take the property in an as-is condition, and the seller is not required to make any repairs. Give them a call or email them today for a free consultation and see how they can help you with your real estate needs. Call them at 973-475-8488. That's 973-475-8488. Visit their website, abundantcapitalgroup.com. That's abundantcapitalgroup.com. And email them at acg@abundantcapitalgroup.com. Follow them on Instagram and Facebook at Abundant Capital Group.
The work that I do is larger than the fashion industry. It's larger than the art world. And I believe that I was born to bring newness into this world. I'm Kaima McIntyre. I'm 24 years old and I'm an artist. I create everything from paintings to jewelry design, metaphysical jewelry to be specific, and fashion design. The only reason why my prom dress went viral is because people needed it. Within a few days of going viral, Notori Naughton reached out to me and she's like, I saw your dress, can you make me a dress? I was equally as shocked to be asked by a celebrity to design their dress at the age of 17. That's just one person, and the list just continues to go on to Janet Jackson, to Tyra Banks. It really hits home. That means that the discussion is happening on the grounds in real time.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation Future Radio. Okay, we're going to go right back to this clip here from the readout with Joanne Reed from February 16, 2022. And this is dealing with the GOP continues to stoke rage, racialized cultural anxiety among whites for political gain. And this is tied into the anti-critical race theory laws that we have seen passed in 14 states since 2021. And that is also causing a problem with in some states with the Black History Month lessons. Okay, let's go back to this clip, Shakita.
The school board wars are happening all over this country. And again, it's not the grassroots effort that Republicans would have you believe. Dateline, Kansas City, Missouri.
Today, it's hard for me to believe that I have to stand up here and discuss what the material is being utilized within our school system. I am sure you have removed many of the old classics off the shelves because the writing that is no longer seen as appropriate, but you are refilling the shelves with disgusting child pornography.
That woman, reading her prepared talking points, denied being inspired by other efforts at school board meetings. But the Kansas City Star noted that it was just another sign of a concerted national strategy against school boards. adding that in school board elections in the area last year, 2 out of the 3 conservatives who won seats were all backed by a New York-based PAC, the 1776 Project, which claims that schools are teaching anti-white ideology in the form of diversity and inclusion. Got that? You got to love the honesty. And this 1776 Project is just one of the many dark money groups masquerading as grassroots. This one founded by a political commentator and conservative writer, and raking in hundreds of thousands of dollars to try to take over school boards and make them more Republican and more right-wing. And groups like this are doing this stuff because it works. Anxiety and anger are powerful motivations to vote. Tribalism, too. And some House Democrats are finally sounding the alarm. According to Politico, the Dems campaign arm in the House is warning that unless the party forcefully confronts alarmingly potent, their words, attacks on things like CRT and policing, they risk losing major ground to Republicans in this year's midterms. They add that these attacks are most effective with center-left voters, independents, and notably with Hispanic voters. The overarching message, don't ignore these attacks. Hit back with a strong rebuttal. Ron DeSantis is doing his own version of the Republican culture wars in his so-called free state of Florida, just throwing it all at the wall, from criminalizing Black Lives Matter protests to banning mask mandates in schools to his Don't Say Gay bill, deeming LGBTQ topics as inappropriate for kids, while weaponizing the very idea of wokeness, which many white Americans embraced in the wake of George Floyd's murder. In Florida, that means DeSantis is attempting to legally prohibit public school teachers from teaching any lesson that might make white students, which is the implication, let's face it, feel discomfort about their race or gender. The group Equality Florida, which represents the interests of LGBTQ Floridians, is fighting back, however. Here is their latest ad.
I have a dream. 5 poor little children must be judged by the content of their character. I have a dream.
Miss George, why is this part crossed out?
Joining me now is Nadine Smith, Executive Director of Equality Florida, and Matthew Dowd, founder of Country Over Party and an MSNBC political analyst. Nadine, I want to start with you. Talk about these ads because they're very aggressive, and I actually think they're really well crafted in terms of messaging. What is the idea behind putting these ads out there, and who are you trying to speak to?
Well, you know, the message is really clear. Despite Ron DeSantis's Orwellian use of free Florida, what he actually advocates for are video cameras in classrooms, microphones on teachers, surveilling every conversation between teachers and students, an invasion even into the doctor's office between parents, their doctor and their child when it comes to trans young people. And it is the opposite of freedom. It is about book banning. It is about silencing. It's about erasing history. And for us, it was important because I think no matter where you fall on the political spectrum, there's a big difference between I'm not going to pay to see that comedian or go to that concert. That's me in the free market making decisions. But when the government says you can't read this book, you can't learn about these topics, this even reaches into the workplace where, for example, under the Stop Woke Act, companies can be told are being told an employee can sue you if you have, for example, a sexual harassment prevention training that causes someone to say, hey, you know what, that made me feel uncomfortable. That made me feel guilty. And so what they are really trying to do is to censor, to police, to invade, and to surveil us in all of these ways. And I think people are starting to push back. And it's a message that resonates because these are the words coming out of the mouth of the governor. I want cameras everywhere. I want your conversations to be listened to. And it's already having a chilling effect. Even before these bills have made their way through the process, we are seeing books being taken off bookshelves. We are seeing Rainbow Safe Space anti-bullying stickers being pulled down. The Florida Department of Education yanked down all LGBT inclusive anti-bullying resources. So people are seeing the real world impact of the DeSantis censorship and surveillance agenda.
It is very Orwellian. I think that's the right term. Do we have clip one? Let's see if we have that. This is another Equality Florida ad. Let's just Oh, do we have it? Do we have it? I'm sorry. We do. Let's play it.
All right, Chelsea, you're up. Tell us about your hero. I have two heroes. My two moms. It's okay. You should be proud. Go ahead.
Mrs. Thompson, please report to the front office.
You know, and Matthew, it is truly only the free state of Florida in the Orwellian or, you know, Handmaid's Tale under his eye sense, right? I mean, the idea that the governor of a theoretically state in a free country is saying, no, I want cameras to be watching your teachers at all times. I want everyone to be watched. I want you watching your neighbors. I want you suing your neighbors. And it's only in one direction, because let's just be clear. Ron DeSantis isn't concerned that black or brown or indigenous kids are going to feel uncomfortable. He's only concerned that white kids are going to feel uncomfortable, or really their parents, because I think the kids are smarter than that. But I want you to talk about.
Pause it right there, Shakita. Okay, we're coming up. We're coming up on a hard break. Those watching on Facebook and YouTube, keep watching. We're going to keep going for a few more minutes. Be sure to visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register for the online classes that I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school, on Saturdays, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can, we have the bundle pack. You can register for both classes for $120, regularly $230. If you've taken any of my online courses in the past, and I've been teaching them since 2017, email me at AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. and you'll get a 50% discount. Okay. Email me at AHNshow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And then, also you can, what I'm participating in on Tuesday with Tech Town, we'll post that on our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, because it's a virtual, seminar. So you can watch that. And then Wednesday, February 23rd, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm on this panel discussion for Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, dealing with reparations. Okay, those watching on Facebook and YouTube, keep watching. We're going to keep going for a few more minutes and finish this clip. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on, also you can support us, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. Remember, right now it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. This article here, here's one of those references. Now, this just came out. This is from Politico. This came out February 15th. So I've seen a lot of stories about this one. This is a really good article to look at, and it deals with the DCCC did a GOP culture war attacks, alarmingly potent. These culture wars, as I've been saying, critical race theory, banning books, all this stuff, this is going to be huge for the GOP during the midterm elections. They don't have real policies to run on, so they're going to run on culture wars. And this article from Politico deals with this, and it warns about this. Let's see here. GOP culture war attacks, alarmingly potent, DCCC warns. The campaign committee has been showing House Democrats polling about how to counter GOP attacks on various issues, how to counter GOP attacks on various issues. Democrats' own research shows that some battleground voters think that the Democratic Party is too preachy, judgmental, and focused on culture wars, according to documents obtained by Politico. Is the Republicans that are focused on the culture wars. See, this is where we have to be very, very strategic. Because one, if you look at Republicans' voting records, this is why I tell you to go to Congress.gov, and all these bills that people say that they want. You can look up the bills at Congress.gov, and you can see who voted for the bill and who voted against the bill. So if you're a member of the House of Representatives and you're 2 members of the U.S. Senate keep voting for bills that you want and advocate for, why would you let them get voted out of office? Because most likely the person that's going to replace them. If it's a Republican, they're most likely going to vote against your own interests and vote against the bills that you advocate for. This is where we have to be strategic and like actually read. Now, in the party's House campaign, and the party's House campaign arm had a stark warning for Democrats. Unless they more forcefully confront the GOP's alarmingly potent culture war attacks, from critical race theory to defunding the police, they risk losing significant ground to Republicans in the midterms. Now, Democrats only have about a 5 or 6 seat margin majority in the House. And it's a 50-50 tie in the Senate. People keep talking about the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. No Republicans voted for the damn bill. This is why if you go to congress.gov, you can look up George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, the 117th Congress. The bill passed the House of Representatives March 3rd, 2021 by a vote of 220 to 212. All the Republicans voted against the bill. And no Republicans helped write the damn bill. So I hear people keep talking about, we want this, we want that. They can't tell you how to get it. And when you look at Republicans' voting records, and all these bills are public knowledge, you can go and look and see who supported the bill, who wrote the bill. You can look and see who voted for the bill and voted against the bill. Republicans overwhelmingly keep voting for all these bills that we say we want. The John Lewis Voting Rights Act passed the House of Representatives August 28th, 2021 by a vote of 219 to 211. All the Republicans voted against the damn bill. And you're going to let them take back control of the House and the Senate? That's not even logical. They keep voting against your own interests. When the vote happened in the Senate, no Republicans voted for the Freedom to Vote Act, which was Joe Manchin's bill, or the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. All 50 Republicans voted against the bills. You had 16 Republicans, including Mitch McConnell, who voted for the reauthorization of the Voting Rights Act in 2006. All those 16 Republicans voted against the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, even though they talk about how great John Lewis was and how much they miss him. And you're gonna let these people take back control of the Senate? That's not even logical. If you actually say that all these bills, you say you want them, that's not even logical. They keep voting, the Republicans keep voting against the bills. This is why we have to be more strategic. Get past the simple Simon ass people on social media who have absolutely no clue what they're talking about. Can't explain none of this to you. Current Republican senators who voted to reauthorize the Voting Rights Act in 2006. Mitch McConnell, South Carolina. You got Chuck Grassley of Iowa, Richard Shelby, Susan Collins of Maine, Richard Burr, North Carolina, Senator John Inhofe. You got punk ass Lindsey Graham in South Carolina, spineless Lindsey Graham, who attacked the $4 billion in debt relief for African-American farmers and Native American farmers and Latino farmers that was in the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. That part of the bill was put into the bill by people like Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia, who's up for re-election. No Republicans in the House or the Senate voted for the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, even though some Republicans in the House are taking credit for how it's helped save businesses in their districts. They're taking credit for it. None of them voted for the bill, and they didn't help write the bill. That bill passed, I think it was March 6, 2021. The $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. You got John Cornyn of Texas, Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee, Roy Blunt, Missouri. Okay. Shelley Moore Capito, who's the other U.S. Senator from West Virginia, where Joe Manchin is. She's a Republican. These are 16 Republicans who are in the Senate right now who voted to reauthorize the Voting Rights Act in 2006, and none of them voted for the John Lewis Voting Rights Act or Joe Manchin's Freedom to Vote Act, because Joe Manchin said he could put together a voting rights bill and he could get Republicans to vote for it. None of them voted for it. Okay, so this is why it takes like strategy and actually doing like research and like reading. The Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, the DCC, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, is recommending a new strategy to endangered members and their teams, hoping to blunt the kinds of GOP attacks that nearly erased their majority last election and remain a huge risk ahead of November. In presentations over the past 2 weeks, party officials and operatives used polling and focus group findings to argue Democrats can't simply ignore the attacks. That's true. They can't just simply ignore the attacks. You got to deal with them head on. You have to confront them head on, from critical race theory to parents' involvement in education to policing. You have to confront these head on. You can't allow Republicans to control the narrative, because Republicans are going to run on Democrats proposed defunding police, but defunding police wasn't even part of the Democratic national strategy. That wasn't part of the Democratic platform, defund the police. Yet Republicans are going to run on that. Republicans even tried to paint Joe Biden as being for defund the police, which is just asinine. But these are the games that they're playing, particularly when they're so in presentations over the past 2 weeks, party officials and operatives used polling and focus group findings to argue Democrats can't simply ignore the attacks, particularly when they're playing at a disadvantage. A generic ballot of swing districts from late January showed Democrats trailing Republicans by 4 points, according to the polling. It wasn't all bleak, though. The data showed that Democrats could mostly rebound loss to Republicans if they offered a strong rebuttal to the political hits. When faced with a defund the police attack, for instance, the presenters encouraged Democrats to reiterate their support for police. And on immigration, they said Democrats should deny support for open borders or amnesty and talk about their efforts to keep the border safe. If Democrats don't answer Republican hits, the party operatives warned the GOP's lead on the generic ballot balloons to 14 points from 4 points, a dismal prediction for Democrats when the GOP only needs to win 5 seats. 5 seats to take back control of the House of Representatives. They'll need 5 seats. But when voters heard a Democratic response to that hit, Republicans' edge narrowed back down to 6 points, giving candidates more of a fighting chance, especially since those numbers don't factor in Democrats going on the offensive, which they have to do, and they have to run on what they got accomplished, not what they didn't get accomplished, which is what President Obama told them when he just met with them in the last couple of weeks. $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. Okay, run on what you accomplished. Okay, not what you didn't get accomplished. $46.5 billion for renters and rental assistance. Child tax credit, which cut child poverty by 40%. Now, they couldn't get it extended, but you can get it extended in 2023 if you go from 50 in the Senate to 55. Then even if Joe Manchin votes against you, you still got 54 votes. Even if Kirsten Sinema votes against you, you got 53 votes. You can change the filibuster rules. If you go from 50 in the Senate to 55, even if Manchin and Sinema defect, you can still change the filibuster rules and get a lot of these bills passed, and then get the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act passed. Okay, let's go back to this. So this is why we have to deal with strategy. All right, I want to go back to this clip here from the readout with Joy and Reed. Let's see, where do we leave off? I got to cue this up. Because, okay, let's take it up here.
There's a big difference between I'm not going to pay to see that comedian or go to that concert. That's me. And what he actually advocates for are video cameras in classrooms, microphones on teachers, surveilling every conversation between teachers and students, an invasion even into the doctor's office between parents, their doctor and their child when it comes to trans young people. And it is the opposite of freedom. It is about book banning. It is about silencing. It's about erasing history. And for us, it was important because I think no matter where you fall on the political spectrum, there's a big difference between I'm not going to pay to see that comedian or go to that concert. That's me in the free market making decisions. But when the government says you can't read this book, you can't learn about these topics, this even reaches into the workplace where, for example, under the Stop Woke Act, companies can be told, are being told, an employee can sue you if you have, for example, a sexual harassment prevention training that causes someone to say, hey, you know what, that made me feel uncomfortable. That made me feel guilty. And so what they are really trying to do is to censor, to police, to invade, and to surveil us in all of these ways. And I think people are starting to push back, and it's a message that resonates because these are the words coming out of the mouth of the governor. I want cameras everywhere. I want your conversations to be listened to. And it's already having a chilling effect. Even before these bills have made their way through the process, we are seeing books being taken off bookshelves. We are seeing Rainbow Safe Space anti-bullying stickers being pulled down. The Florida Department of Education yanked down all LGBT inclusive anti-bullying resources. So people are seeing the real world impact of the DeSantis censorship and surveillance agenda.
It is very Orwellian. I think that's the right term. Do we have clip one? Let's see if we have that. This is another Equality Florida ad. Let's just. Do we do?
Okay. All right. So I can skip ahead where we did that. Okay. Let me see.
Of a theoretically state in a free country is saying, no, I want cameras to be watching your teachers at all times. I want everyone to be watched. I want you watching your neighbors. I want you suing your neighbors. And it's only in one direction, because let's just be clear. Ron DeSantis isn't concerned that Black or brown or indigenous kids are going to feel uncomfortable. He's only concerned that white kids are going to feel uncomfortable, or really their parents, because I think the kids are smarter than that. But I want you to talk about a bit the irony here. There was a very smart person on the Twitters who pointed this out yesterday. I retweeted it, and I'm going to read a little bit of it now. That in 2018, the conservative Washington Examiner made literally the opposite argument when Black parents and the NAACP came forward and said it makes Black kids uncomfortable to have books like To Kill a Mockingbird and The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn read in school because they have to hear the N-word being read out loud in class. This was the argument the Washington Examiner made at the time: revising or erasing history, even artistic interpretations of time periods, does a grave disservice to the very students whose quote-unquote feelings they're trying to protect. So the argument on the right then is Black kids must get...
Hold on. I want to pull this. I just want to show this right quick, okay? I need to show this still picture, because what Joanne Reed is pointing out here is that when it was African-American parents talking about removing the book To Kill a Mockingbird from being used in the classroom because it uses the N-word so many times, you had white conservatives who weren't concerned about how African-American children felt. Okay. So if we look at this here, I'm going to pull this graphic up. This is from the Washington Examiner. Banning books. The name of the article: banning books, especially To Kill a Mockingbird and The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, in the name of political correctness, is absurd. So the Washington Examiner is a right-wing, nonsensical newspaper. It's BS. But look at this. This is what they wrote. This is what the Washington Examiner wrote back in 2018, February 8th, 2018, during Black History Month, by the way. This is what they wrote. Banning books, especially To Kill a Mockingbird and the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn in the name of political correctness is absurd. But you have Republicans now pushing to ban books because they say they make white children feel guilty, and they want to ban books that teach about racism and some books about the civil rights movement and Dr. King and LGBTQ issues, because they talk about how certain books can make white children feel guilty. But when it came to African American children in 2018, they didn't care. Revising, or this is what the Washington Examiner wrote, revising or erasing history, even artistic interpretations of time periods, does a grave disservice to the very students whose feelings they are trying to protect. So they're saying, so removing To Kill a Mockingbird and removing The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn from the classroom, and African American children feeling feeling hurt by hearing the N-word over and over again, they're saying ignore that. But when it comes to white children's feelings, they say, oh, we got to ban all these books because it can hurt white children's feelings. All right, let's go back to this clip here.
Argument on the right then is Black kids must get used to hearing the N-word used colloquially, and you need to suck it up and accept that.
Let me back this up a little bit here. Okay.
History. Even artistic interpretations of time periods does a grave disservice to the very students whose quote-unquote feelings they're trying to protect. So the argument on the right then is Black kids must get used to hearing the N-word used colloquially, and you need to suck it up and accept that. But white kids can't even learn that the people who enslaved people were white and these slaves were Black, because that will make them sad. Unpack that for us.
Well, you know, it's fascinating what we're the period of time we're in America. And I think it completely has everything to do with the fact that we're a multicultural, multiracial, diverse society, and that white Christian males, I mean, you think about this, for 150 years, white Christian males held 99% of the power positions of America, for 150. Then for the next 75, white Christian males held 90% of the power positions in America. Today, that number is 80%, and white Christian males represent 28% of the country. And so it's not as if anybody is saying, no, you only get 28%. Is it they got 80%, and that's not enough, that because it's fallen. And I think the Republicans are incredibly successful, and I'll agree with the Democratic caucus about this, at speaking to the fear-based part of humans' brains, the reptilian part of our brain that we have evolved through, that goes into a fear, goes into protection, goes, I'm going to lose something in the midst of this. And I think I fault the Democrats in this battle to a degree, because the Republicans have launched a culture war. They don't like what the country's becoming. And the Democrats think they can win that culture war by talking about Build Back Better, or by talking about, you know, what are we going to do about inflation? When you're in a culture war, when somebody launches a war at you, you have to launch a war back at them about what kind of culture you believe in. Do you believe in and present a opposite side culture, a culture that believes in everybody's dignity, that respects all, that believes that all men and women are created equal, that the Democrats have to get a hold of this and not shy away and say, well, let's not talk about this. They have to present and win. If we're going to be an American democracy that's multicultural, Democrats and all of us have to win the culture war in a presentation of what America should be in the 21st century and why that's a better vision.
Yep. All right. So that's from the readout with Joanne Reed from that is from February 16th, 2022. So check that out at msnbc.com. Now, and the name of that clip is GOP continues to stoke rage, racialized cultural anxiety among whites for political gain. Now, this article that I have up here on the screen, we talked about this when this came out back in September 2021. Tennessee parents say some books make students feel discomfort because they're white. they say a new law backs them up. So when it came to white children's feelings, they didn't say white children had to suck it up and get over it and things like this. The Republican-led state legislatures passed laws to protect white children's little feelings. Okay, so read this article. We dealt with this in Robin Steinman, her dumbass. Steinman, we dealt with this when this came out. But see, these are the culture wars that we're going to see in the 2022 midterm election. They're not going away. We have to confront them head on. And then when you look at this article here from this one here from NBCnews.com, this 16-page piece, which is some really fantastic journalism, this one right here. Critical race theory battle invades school boards with help from conservative groups. This talks about the funding behind the critical race theory battle, behind the parents showing up at the school board meetings, acting a damn fool, demanding that books be banned, all this stuff. These conservative parents running for school board positions, pushing out certain people on the school boards, taking them over, then banning books, that whole agenda. This 16-page expose from NBC News breaks this stuff down. Critical race theory battle invades school boards with help from conservative groups. In towns nationwide, well-connected conservative activists and Fox News have ramped up the tension in fights over race and equity in schools. This is from June 15th, 2021. Okay. Politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth upon resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. And just very quickly here, it talks about Jeff Porter, superintendent of a wealthy suburban school district in Maine, had no idea that his community was about to become part of a national battle when in the summer of 2020, a father began accusing the school district of trying to indoctrinate his children by teaching critical race theory. Now, critical race theory is not taught in K through 12. To Superintendent Jeff Porter, the issue was straightforward. The school district had denounced white supremacy in the wake of George Floyd's murder by police, but did not teach critical race theory. The school district did not teach critical race theory, the academic study of racism's pervasive impact. They just denounced white supremacy. Okay? The parent got upset. Oh, you trying to indoctrinate my child. Well, what have you been indoctrinating your child with if you have a problem with denouncing white supremacy? But the parent, Sean Brearty, grew increasingly disgruntled, and soon he connected with No Left Turn in Education, which is a rapidly growing national group that supports parents as they fight against lessons on systemic racism. That action turned a heated conflict with the school board into one that soon drew national attention, mobilized by a new, increasingly coordinated movement with the backing of major conservative organizations and media outlets. So there's 165 organizations at the time that this article was written. It's 165 organizations that are organizing these parents at the local level to go act a fool at these school board meetings, run for school board office, take over these school boards, then start banning books and controlling what can be taught in schools. And
this is going to be a lightning rod in the 2022 midterm election, and it's going to get a lot of these white conservatives out voting against our own interests. Now, the question is, what the hell are we going to do? Conflicts like this are playing out in cities and towns across the country amid the rise of at least 165 local and national groups that aim to disrupt lessons on race and gender, according to an NBC News analysis of media reports and organizations' promotional materials. Now, it was 165 organizations back in June 15th, 2021. How many is it today? Now, where is our counter movement to this? We have to have a counter movement to fight against this initiative. It's not going to go away. It's going to get worse. Read the rest of this article. I've got work to do. Critical race theory battle invades school boards with help from conservative groups. See, a lot of these school boards, we need to run for these positions and block a lot of this stuff taking place. We have to leverage our economics to help finance a lot of our organizations to fight against this stuff. All right. If you like this type of information, also, you can, we got one more story. Malcolm X and his home in Inkster, where he used to live. That's Detroit Free Press. We'll go to that just saying. That's the last story, then I got to get out of here. If you like this type of information, you can support the African History Network, $, the AHN Show through Cash App, $, the AHN Show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. We have 6 days a week. This helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting, pay some of the bills. We have I'll post a link here, but we have the information at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We have the link for Cash App. Now, this is our official Cash App account, $, the AHN Show, SHOW. When you go to it, it says Michael, shows my picture there, and we have the link right here on our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. These other ones here are fake African History Network Cash App accounts. I did not set those up. That's somebody impersonating us. These other ones are not us. Also, we have the yellow donate button for PayPal also. We're here Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time, and Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Click here to listen to audio podcasts of the African History Network Show. I'll be uploading some more today and tomorrow. You can click here to read articles that I've written. If you want me to do a presentation for your group or organization, email me at ahnshow@africanhistorynetwork.com, ahnshow@africanhistorynetwork.com. African American business owners, you can also email us as well. You can advertise with the African History Network. We have 3 new advertising packages. Current promotion for a few more days, buy 1 month, get 2 months free. And then online class I teach Saturdays, ancient Kipta Moors and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, where they didn't teach you in school. Do that at 4 p.m. We have the bundle pack. You can register for the classes here. Okay, that's at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right, we're going to post that link here. I want to go to this last story. Okay, so here's the link for the bundle pack of the 2 online courses I teach. I want to go to this last story here. This is dealing with Malcolm X and the house he lived in Inkster, Michigan. That's for those that don't know, Inkster is a suburb of Detroit. Okay, Inkster, Michigan. And the house has become, it's been added to the National Register of Historic Places. It's been added to the National Register of Historic Places. This is a article from the Detroit News. I think the Free Press had one also, because I saw a couple articles on this. This is from February 1st, 2022. And I did not get a chance to really talk about it back when I originally saw the piece. So I said, I was going through pulling together content for today's show. I said, we'll definitely talk about it on today's show. Inkster, home of Malcolm X, gets on National Register of Historic Places. Now, we know Malcolm also lived in Lansing, Michigan, and East Lansing, Michigan as well. Lansing and East Lansing.
All right, this is freezing up over just a second here. I've got to refresh the screen. This is freezing up. Hold on, stand by. I have to refresh. Back. Okay, good. The screen was freezing up on me. I had to refresh it. Okay, let's try this one more time. This is an article from the Detroit News. So in the 1950s, Malcolm X lived at this house with his brother Wilfred Little. We know that the Nation of Islam was founded in Detroit in the early 1930s also. If we look at this piece here, oh man, I hate it when it does this. Just a second here. Okay, the former home of civil rights leader Malcolm X has been listed on the National Register of Historic Places. The Michigan Economic Development Corporation announced on Tuesday, and this article is from February 1st, 2022. The announcement comes as the nation celebrates the annual observance of Black History Month in the United States and 3 weeks before the 57th anniversary of the assassination of Malcolm X. Okay, let's who joined the Nation of Islam in 1958. Okay, so this is a picture of the house in Inkster, Michigan. You see the banner on the side. This was the home of civil rights leader Malcolm X. The home at 4336 William Street in Inkster, Michigan, shown on September 16, 2021, is where Malcolm X lived in the early 1950s during his conversion to Islam. The home has been listed on the National Register of the Historic Places in the Michigan Economic Development Corporation announced Tuesday. Okay, so let me see. Let me scroll down here. Okay, so we got that. Malcolm lived in the Inkster home in 1952, along with his brother Wilfred Little and his family when he left prison after serving time for burglary in Massachusetts. It is at the William Street home where Malcolm X made a full transformation into the Islamic faith. Inkster resident Aaron Sims, he was introduced to Islam when he was in prison by his siblings. It wasn't Brother Baines, because that's Brother Baines is a fictitious character they created for the Malcolm X movie. Brother Baines didn't exist. Brother Baines was probably a composite character, partly probably of John Bembry, because John Bembry was an older African-American male prisoner who told Malcolm that he encouraged Malcolm to take classes and start reading even before Malcolm was exposed to Islam in prison. John Bembry was a friend of Malcolm's in prison, and he encouraged him to develop his mind, take classes, read, things like this. So Inkster resident Aaron Sims, who saved the home from the wrecking ball after it was for a time listed on the city's demolition list, said Monday the National Registry of Historic Places designation is the latest step toward revitalizing the once abandoned home into a museum highlighting the life of Malcolm X. Now, the museum will be dedicated to the life and work of Malcolm X and run by the Inkster-based nonprofit organization Project We Hope, the nonprofit Inkster-based nonprofit Project We Hope, Dream, and Believe. which is focused on educating and empowering young men and women. Now, Sims said his organization has purchased 3 lots, 2 next door and another across the street, where they plan to build a community center and a job training youth tutorial center. The renovation and plans for the museum recently received $380,000. They recently received a $380,000 grant from the National Park Service African American Civil Rights Program. We are working hard toward rehabilitating and renovating the Malcolm X house with the goal of transforming the home, into a museum that will showcase Malcolm's life history, with special focus on his human and civil rights activism, as well as his relationship to the city of Inkster, which he referenced in one of his final speeches. And Sims is the executive director of Project We Hope, Dream and Believe. Okay, that's Aaron Sims. Here's a close-up of the banner. This was the home of civil rights leader Malcolm X, 1952 to 1962. The banner is donated by the Sims family. All right. Now, in September of 2021, Atala Shabazz, the eldest daughter of Malcolm X and Dr. Betty Shabazz, praised the effort to preserve the history of her father and Uncle Wilfred Little during comments to the State Historic Preservation Review Board. Okay, read the rest of this here. This is from the Detroit News, DetroitNews.com. Inkster, Michigan home of Malcolm X gets on National Register of Historic Places. Okay, this is from February 1st, 2022. The panel discussed the business seminar, the Black Business Seminar on Tuesday. I have to put that on the website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We've got the seminar where I'm speaking for Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated on Wednesday, February 23rd. That's already up there with the link to register for the seminar. It's free to register for that. And then also the Michael Imhotep 15 DVD bundle pack, 15 lecture bundle pack. We have that on the homepage of our website. It's 15 lectures. Actually, you have to get 16 of them. It's our Black History Month DVD bundle pack. It's on sale, $100. Includes actually 16 of my lectures, including one. It's about a 3-hour presentation that deals with the origins of African American History Month. Okay, so you get a lot in this one. This is going to keep you busy. It's 3 of my lectures dealing with the film Black Panther. You get Great African Women in History, the Mothers of Civilization. You get that one included as well. You get this one here dealing with the origins of African American History Month and Dr. Carter G. Woodson. This is Breaking the Chains, Why We Celebrate Black History Month. So I deal with a lot in that presentation. Okay, so that's all in this bundle pack, and we'll post the link on our website also, African History Net. We'll post the link here on the thread of the broadcast. Get one I did with Dr. David Imhotep, who wrote the book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence. You get this one here, this 4-hour presentation, Great African Women in History, the Mothers of Civilization. Okay, so that's all together. So we have that. And if you want that in digital download format, also email me at TheAHNShow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right, but that's the link for to order it in DVD format. All right, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. All right. Thanks for watching.
The work that I do is larger than the fashion industry. It's larger than the art world. And I believe that I was born to bring newness into this world. I'm Kaima McIntyre. I'm 24 years old and I'm an artist. I create everything from paintings to jewelry design, metaphysical jewelry to be specific, and fashion design. The only reason why my prom dress went viral is because people needed it. Within a few days of going viral, Notori Naughton reached out to me and she's like, I saw your dress, can you make me a dress? I was equally as shocked to be asked by a celebrity to design their dress at the age of 17. That's just one person, and the list just continues to go on to Janet Jackson, to Tyra Banks. It really hits home. That means that the discussion is happening on the grounds in real time.
iRedify is a Black-owned digital platform that showcases Black and Brown cultures and people. The books on the platform are written by African American authors, Afro-Caribbean authors, African authors, and so much more. Kids 14 and under can read ebooks, listen to audiobooks, and complete learning activities. Kids can even write in the books digitally. Get unlimited access to everything on the platform for only $8.99 a month at iRedify.com. Sign up for your membership today. Jeanette Davis is a well-established author with 6 published books. Black Survival in White America from Past History to the Next Century was published in 1995, and it delves into the history of African Americans before slavery up to contemporary times. The Great Divide Between Blacks and Whites was released in 2008, and her autobiography, Black Just Like My Mama, was published in 2010. Soulful Journey, The Business of Beings, was released in December 2021, and her 2 latest books, Echoes from the Heart, Love Throws Poetry, and Master Being Human, were both published in January of 2022. Jeanette Davis' writings delve deeply into the psyche of Black people from ancient to contemporary times. She cuts no corners and leaves no stones unturned in relating truth, letting the chips fall where they may on both African and European doorsteps. Order Jeanette Davis's books today at Amazon.com. Search for Jeanette Davis and get to know her work today.
STEM Forward, helping our community find their place in the emerging fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Join us for our monthly live stream on our website, stemforwardedu.org. Watch, subscribe, share. Also join our mailing list to stay up to date with STEM resources and opportunities. STEM Forward, the future is now. Watch, subscribe, share.
Soul in Motion, celebrating 38 years in the arts. This energetic ensemble of dancers and drummers was started by percussionist Michael Friend and is led by choreographer Associate Director Pam Lassiter. Based in the Washington, D.C. area, Soul in Motion is now accepting bookings for Black History Month, Juneteenth, and summer festivals in 2022. Soul in Motion is also available for more intimate events like naming ceremonies and weddings. To find out more or book your date, call 240-452-1349 or send an email to info@soulinmotion.org. Be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Soul in Motion, celebrating our history, our culture, our future. Soul in Motion. Theater, African dance, and drumming since 1984.
mental health and well-being have long been a taboo subject in the so-called African American community. So I enlisted the help of mental health experts, thought leaders, and activists to help kill the ghost of Willie Lynch and heal from post-traumatic slave syndrome.
We experience trauma a lot of times on a subconscious level. So sometimes something happens to us and we know that it's traumatizing, but we don't really recognize the extent of the trauma.
Follow the story Skeeter Hawk as attorney Ben Brooks rediscovers his Gullah Geechee heritage and finds romance along the Gullah Trail and the Sea Islands. Jilted by his fiancée who refused to marry him, Ben Brooks goes back home to Gullah country. There, the Gullah people come to call him Skeeter Hawk. While rediscovering his heritage, Skeeter Hawk unravels dark family secrets. A beautiful childhood friend, Fulla, becomes his guide as they travel the Gullah Trail from North Carolina to the Sea Islands in South Carolina in search of more answers. Ben Brooks falls in love with her and becomes torn between her and his former fiancée who wants to rekindle their romance. He also deals with a premonition that one of his enemies is pursuing him, providing a backdrop for mystery, romance, intrigue, and suspense in this page-turning novel called Skeeter Hawk from author Sabby Stone. Order your copy today at sabbystone.com. That's S-A-B-Y, sabbystone.com.
What does self-care mean to you? To us, it's an opportunity to reconnect with nature. A chance to create something remarkable. At Sage and Elm Apothecary, our handcrafted skincare and household products immerse you in Earth's sweetest nectar